Society. Okay, you're all going, what does that mean? I know. That's what we do too. But we're gonna answer that question. Obviously, Victorian society had a different need than today's society. You know, Dracula was gross and smelly, but hypnotic, and you know, sex was never mentioned directly. Everyone was really terrified of him, but he still made it into anywhere he wanted to go into. Vampires of today are very, very different. In fact, there's such a variety of vampires today with different rules that you just can't throw a rock without hitting a vampire. So that's what we're going to talk about, and about why society today wants a different kind of vampire. And we're going to start with Carol.
Okay, I'm a big fan of the real Dracula. In fact, I wrote an essay on it for the Thriller Writers Anthology, and Charlaine has him down. He reads, but where the good vampires that were juicy and sensual came in was the Three Brides when they're creeping up on Jonathan Harper, and I think that's very interesting because that's where the hidden sexual content of the female vampire being staked while the four men are standing around and they all gave her blood. It was sort of a reverse sort of thing. Now we are a lot more sophisticated. The AIDS epidemic sponsored some vampire fiction, and it didn't really take place. It was more in science fiction or literary as a metaphor. And now a lot of the horror people are really angry at us for creating romantic, dark, interesting, romantic vampires. But it was happening in the film, even with Bela Lugosi with his cape and his whatever. And then you had some New Day vampires, and I'm going to forget, he's now so old, Franklin Jella. When he was vampire, he was vampire. Dark Shadows. So it's been coming kind of through film, and suddenly the writers got their hands on the throats and are realizing what they can do with it. And I think we each, I'm not going to say, but we each use it for a different sort of thing, whatever our stories are working around.
I'm sorry, I agree it's not acceptable. You have to expand on that.
Fine. Okay. I took a lot of the mythologies. I mean, I think we take a lot of our mythologies from Bram Stoker. I mean, you know, the home Earth and all that, and I just throw that out the window. My thought was, one of the things that I did when I created my vampires, because they were moms and they had kids and everything, I gave them like a little body makeover. They got rid of their cellulite and their crow's feet and their perkiness, and I thought, if you couldn't have a mirror and see how fabulous you were, that just was not fair. So they can see in mirrors, holy water doesn't, because the vampire mythology is older. It predates Christianity, so Christian symbols don't really affect them. In that way, my vampires are in Celtic mythology. And anyone who's done their vampire research knows that every single culture has some sort of vampire myth that you can draw from and mess around with, and that makes it pretty fun and fabulous. And then you can throw your own things in there.
I have to say there's one culture that